He finished the season as QB1? So why is Cleveland still doubting Shedeur Sanders?
Wow, listen, I'm inclined to say Shedeur Sanders because he finished the season, and Deshaun Watson has been so bad in the Cleveland Browns uniform. But because of the money, RC, Shay, I'm inclined to try to at least give the man one more chance. I'm not telling you to start him without him showing what he could do in training camp and preseason.
We have breaking news in the NFL as the Bengals are in trade talks for Shedeur Sanders. According to multiple reports, the Bengals have been making calls to acquire another quarterback and have reached out to the Cleveland Browns for rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Now, I know he's a little flashy, but how would you feel if the Bengals traded for Shedeur Sanders? With Joe Burrow expected to miss the remainder of the regular season, Shedeur could come in and save the Bengals' season and get them into the playoffs, just in time for Joe Burrow to be back healthy. Sanders quite possibly could be the best quarterback from this draft class and would absolutely flourish with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Even with Cincinnati's O-line concerns, this would not be anything new for Shedeur. Sanders was the most sacked quarterback in college football history, playing behind a very poor offensive line at Colorado. Despite this, he still managed to find a way to be great. So despite the Bengals' offensive line being subpar, I believe Shedeur Sanders can overcome it. And yes, I believe Shedeur can get the Bengals to the playoffs.
Let me ask you something real quick. What do you do when you have a young quarterback, a guy who finished the season as your starter, who showed fight, who showed toughness, who showed heart, and your team owner goes on camera and says another guy, a guy who's played just 19 games in 4 years, has a great chance to take his job? You get angry, and that's exactly what happened. StephenASmith had thoughts, Ryan Clark had receipts, and together they went off on the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, they were right. Stay with me, because this story about Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, and the most dysfunctional quarterback room in the NFL right now, it's wild from start to finish. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. We talk real NFL, no filter, no fluff. Let's get into it.
Yeah, one term you hear when you're in NFL locker rooms and meeting rooms, the best ability you can have is availability. And that's what Deshaun Watson hasn't been able to provide. The injuries are what they are. Back-to-back season injury, your Achilles twice. Dylan Gabriel as well had the concussion, had a shoulder injury. He hasn't been available, and all Shedeur has done is put his head down, be there when the team needs him. He's had some ups, he's had some downs. I think he's in a perfect position, and he's handling it the right way. He's in the facility. He's around the facility. He wants to have this job be his, and he's going to be an opportunity where he's going to have the best opportunity, I think, to take that job. I think the Deshaun thing...
Okay, so here's where we are. The Cleveland Browns, heading into this offseason, have a quarterback room that honestly looks like an NFL draft gone wrong. You've got Deshaun Watson, $230 million guaranteed contract, former top 10 quarterback in the league, back-to-back torn Achilles injuries. The man hasn't played a full season in 6 years. He played 19 games total across 4 seasons in Cleveland. 19! That's not a starter situation. That's barely a backup tryout. Then you've got Dylan Gabriel, who also dealt with a concussion and a shoulder injury, another guy who can't stay available. And then there's Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick, son of Coach Prime, a guy who came into Cleveland with everyone writing him off before he even put on the jersey. And what did he do? He went out there, he competed, he led this team, he finished the season as the starter. No excuses, no injuries, no drama. Just football. Now tell me, in that quarterback room, who actually earned the right to walk into training camp as QB1? The answer seems obvious, right? Not so fast, because Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam decided to go to the microphone and say, and I'm being serious here, that Deshaun Watson has a great chance to be the franchise's starting quarterback this season. And that is when StephenASmith and Ryan Clark entered the chat. Now look, Stephen A., you know how he is. He does not hold back. And when this topic came up, he was honest. He said he was inclined to give Shedeur the job because Shedeur finished the season, and Watson has been, in his words, a precipitous drop-off from what he once was in Houston. But then Stephen A., being Stephen A., brought up the money. The dead cap number if Cleveland cuts Watson is $131 million. $131 million in dead money. The Miami Dolphins heard that number and felt better about themselves. So Stephen A's argument was, because of the money, give Watson one more chance in training camp and preseason. Show us something. Prove the skill set is still there. Because at his best, Watson was right there with Patrick Mahomes. That was real. That happened. But here's where Ryan Clark came in, and he flipped the whole script. Ryan Clark's point was simple, and it was sharp. He said, we're not doing this with Russell Wilson anymore. We're not doing this with Kirk Cousins anymore. We stopped chasing what guys used to be. Why is Deshaun Watson getting different treatment? He said the Browns are in year one of a new program under first-year head coach Todd Monken. A fresh start, a new direction. Why, in the middle of a rebuild, are you looking backwards? Why are you chasing a ghost of what Watson was in Houston when the guy right in front of you, Shedeur Sanders, is healthy, hungry, and ready? And then Ryan Clark dropped the line that really hit different. He said, when you talk to players about tearing your Achilles, that's a serious injury. Watson didn't just tear it once, he tore it twice, back-to-back seasons. That's not bad luck, that's your body telling you something. Both of these guys, Stephen A. and Ryan Clark, they came at this from different angles, but they landed in the same place. Shedeur Sanders deserves this chance. The question is whether the Browns have the courage to give it to him fully, without one eye still looking at Watson.
There's a difference in between being humble and being humbled. Like, the world tried to humble Shedeur Sanders, the drafters and the scouts and the evaluators, but he just used it to be humble in the way he went about work, the composure, the poise, and the way that he's handled his situation, being the fourth quarterback throughout this. He's not ruffled any feathers. He's shown that he could be a leader. He's shown that he understands he has to earn it. He's told Dion, hey, you got to wait. And the people talking about whether or not this opportunity is a setup, they don't understand ball. There is no success without an opportunity. And there is no such thing as luck when they say preparation meets opportunity. But this man's been preparing for this moment his entire life. And think about the amount of Shedeur Sanders jerseys that have been sold. Think about the way people watch that game. Those are not Cleveland Browns fans. Those are Shedeur Sanders fans. And the owner, Jimmy Haslam, said, you know what? Andrew Berry made this pick. And if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm rubbing my hands like Birdman, right? Because we all knew who this man was. We all knew what he'd accomplished. We all knew what he was made of. And for him to go out there on a night that he wasn't supposed to be the starting quarterback, on a night where he hadn't gotten the reps with those people he'd be working with, and show out, showed exactly why he should have been drafted earlier. But this is what it is, man. Sometimes, man, you got to have a setback for the get back to be historic. And I believe that's what Shedeur Sanders showed us in this first night under center as a Cleveland Brown.
Defense to support you. Like, this isn't the worst situation in the league for a quarterback like you mentioned. I think we all know his name and suspected that he would have been a first or second round pick last year. But given where he ended up, like, this is the best chance that you're going to get probably in his career at a chance at establishing himself as a starter. And it's a real opportunity where I suspect he's going to get the majority of the offseason reps and be the day one starter.
The thing to keep in mind, we joked earlier, but the 27 draft, a lot of teams have their eye on it, especially for quarterback. So they have to find out in Cleveland what they have. They know Deshaun Watson's not the long-term answer. They probably know Dylan Gabriel's not.
Let me give you the real reasons why Shedeur Sanders starting makes complete sense for Cleveland right now. Not emotionally, practically. First, availability. Jordan Rodgers made this point, and it's undeniable. The best ability is availability. Shedeur has been in that building. He's been in the facility, putting in the work, staying available. That alone separates him from Watson and Gabriel right now. Second, the offensive head coach factor. Todd Monken is an offensive head coach. When the Browns were interviewing head coach candidates, one of the questions they reportedly asked was, what would you think about going with Shedeur Sanders as the starter? That's not a coincidence. That's a signal. Third, the 2027 draft. A lot of teams in the NFL have their eyes on the 2027 quarterback draft class, which means Cleveland needs to find out now in 2025 and 2026 whether Shedeur is their guy, because if he's not, they need to be in position to draft their next franchise quarterback. You can't figure that out by riding the bench or competing with a guy who hasn't played in years. Fourth, the defense. People forget this. The Browns have a good defense, a legitimate, physical, talented defense. That means if Shedeur Sanders is out there managing games, being efficient, making smart decisions, this team can compete. He doesn't need to be Watson 2017. He just needs to be a reliable starter, and he showed he can do that. And fifth, the win-win reality. If Shedeur plays and plays great, Cleveland has their quarterback of the future basically for free as a fifth-round pick. If he plays and struggles, Cleveland has draft capital to go get their guy in 2027. Either way, you learn something. Either way, you move forward. Going back to Watson, you learn nothing. You just delay the rebuild. Now, I want to be fair to Deshaun Watson for a second, because there was a version of this guy that was absolutely elite. In Houston, there were stretches where analysts were putting him right there with Patrick Mahomes at his best. That's not a small thing. That's legitimate greatness. But here's the thing. That Deshaun Watson, the one Cleveland paid $230 million guaranteed for, he hasn't shown up, not once in a Cleveland uniform. And it's not just the injuries. When he has played, the production hasn't been there. The command hasn't been there. The Watson we all remember from Houston, that dude hasn't stepped on a Cleveland field. And look, I feel for the guy as a human being. Back-to-back Achilles tears are devastating. That's not just physical, that's mental, that's emotional. Coming back from one Achilles is hard enough. Coming back from two on the same leg at this stage of a career, that's one of the hardest things you can ask a professional athlete to do. But the Cleveland Browns cannot make their 2025 decision based on sympathy. They have to make it based on football. And on football alone, right now, today, Shedeur Sanders gives them the better chance. Ryan Clark said it best, stop chasing the contract, look at the film, make the right call. So what does Cleveland actually need to do? Here's my take, and I think Stephen A. and Ryan Clark would both agree on most of this. Number one, Shedeur Sanders goes into training camp as the clear number one. Not competing, not we'll see how it goes, the starter, the guy. Give him that clarity and let him build confidence with the first team offense from day one. Number two, let Watson compete if he's healthy, but compete for the backup spot. No more of this emotional, we owe him a chance because of the money thinking. The money is already gone. The dead cap hits whether he plays or not. Stop making personnel decisions based on sunk cost. Number three, build around Shedeur's strengths. He's a smart quarterback. He reads defenses quickly. He can extend plays. Get him weapons that work with his style. Todd Monken knows how to design an offense. Let him do it for the quarterback he actually believes in. And number four, protect him. Invest in the offensive line. A young quarterback with a good defense, a smart offensive coach, and a real offensive line, that's a recipe for development. That's how you build something in Cleveland for the first time in decades. This is not the worst situation for a young quarterback. Shedeur's got a legitimate shot with an offensive-minded head coach who believes in him and a defense that can keep games close. He just needs the Browns to commit. Fully commit. At the end of the day, this is about more than just Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson. This is about whether the Cleveland Browns are ready to finally stop living in the past and start building something real. StephenASmith said it. Ryan Clark said it. Multiple analysts said it. The path forward in Cleveland runs through Shedeur Sanders. Not around him, not beside him, through him. Give the man the ball, get out of his way, and let's see what happens. That's what real rebuilding looks like. That's what giving a young quarterback a real chance looks like. And honestly, it's what Browns fans who have been patient long enough deserve to see. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe if you're new, and drop your take in the comments right now. Should the Browns start Shedeur Sanders on day 1? Yes or no? I want to hear from you. I'll see you in the next one.